your hand if you don't have any problems. Your life is perfect. No one, right? We all struggle with problems. Aren't you tired of struggling with the problems you face every day? Of course you are. No one wants to deal with the problems we face in the world every single day. Just imagine a time where there will be no more war, disaster, sickness, crime, and death. Soon, all suffering that you experience will be gone forever, and I'm going to convince you of that by sharing why we suffer, how a future without suffering is possible, and what that future will be like. First, we need to talk about why we experience suffering today. When God created the first man and woman, his purpose was for them to live forever on a beautiful, perfect paradise earth without suffering. God's purpose has not changed. But because Adam did not obey God, he lost perfection, grew old, and eventually died. We descend from Adam, so we all were born imperfect. But as Romans 5:12 says, that through one man sin entered into the world, and death through sin, so thus death spread to all men because they had all sinned. In the book Learn from the Great Teacher, chapter 23, it gives a really good illustration. It uses the example of a bread pan. So, take for example, a bread pan. If this pan were to have a dent in it, then what would happen to the bread? Well, that bread and every loaf of bread you make after that would have the same dent in it too. So, Adam is like that pan, and we were like the bread. It is because he sinned that we all inherit sin. It was as he received a dent of imperfection. So when he had children, all of them would receive the same dent of imperfection. And sin is the reason why we suffer. So, as I mentioned before, God's purpose has not changed. He's going to make the earth a paradise again. As Isaiah 55:11 states, "So my word that goes out of my mouth will be, and it will not return without results. But it will certainly accomplish whatever is my delight, and it will have sure success in what I send it to do." So, we can be certain that whatever God says will happen. So, if God created humans to live in a world without suffering, then we can be sure that that will happen. But if we all inherit sin, then how is this future possible? It is because the sacrifice Jesus made. He was a perfect man, just like Adam. But as a perfect man, he was successful in doing what Adam had failed to do. He kept his perfect human life by remaining obedient to Jehovah God. In Matthew 20:28, it says that the Son of Man came to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus freely sacrificed his perfect life so that we could have the hope of forgiveness of our sins and in time attain the life that Adam and Eve had lost. We can live forever on a perfect world without suffering because of Jesus' sacrifice. John 3:16 says that God loved the world so much that he gave his only begotten Son so that everyone exercising faith in him might not be destroyed but have everlasting life. So since God loved the world and he gave his Son as a sacrifice in our behalf, and because Jesus remained obedient his entire life, we have the marvelous hope of living on earth in a beautiful paradise forever. As I said earlier, God's purpose has not changed. He will make the earth a beautiful paradise again with no suffering. I really like the point of Watchtower entitled "Why Eden Mattered to You," made from the online library. It says, "His purpose is real, just as the Garden of Eden was real, with real animals and real people. So is the promise for the future that God made and is reality soon to come." And then according to the website WebMD, today 200,000 people are hospitalized each year because of an illness. Another big thing in the world today is shootings. According to the website Business Insider, there have been 307 mass shootings in the US alone just this year. Just imagine a world where none of those things happen, where there won't be sickness, pain, violence, no kind of suffering. What makes a true paradise is the people and the way they live, not just how everything beautiful how beautiful everything is. States the Watchtower article I mentioned earlier. Living in a paradise where everything is perfect sounds too good to be true, right? But we can believe this will happen. Thus, Titus 1:2 says, a hope of everlasting life that God, who cannot lie, promised long ago. Since God cannot lie, we have good reason to believe that he will make the earth a paradise again, where no one even knows what suffering is. In conclusion, a future without suffering is possible. We inherit imperfection from Adam because he sinned and disobeyed God. But because Jesus sacrificed his life for us, we have the hope to live in a beautiful paradise, earth, in perfect health. We can believe this because, as I mentioned earlier, God cannot lie. We can be certain that we will live in a world where everyone is united, peaceful, and best of all, no one will experience suffering. Any questions? Yes?
The things that you researched, how many shootings did you say happened this year?
307.
Wow, in just the U.S.
Just the U.S.
Wow.
That is remarkable.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was that many. I wanted you to repeat that number because that's a high number.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
And so what is it that makes it possible for suffering to not exist?
The sacrifice Jesus made in our behalf.
Yeah. Right. No, I was pretty clear. I mean, I heard you say it a few times, but just yeah, that makes sense.
Is that it?
Good.
Okay.
So then we have a couple of questions. First, what did Isabella do well? You have your critique sheets there, so what are some things she did well? Amber?
Audience eye contact.
That's what I was gonna say.
Odd.
Felt like she knew her material.
Good.
Made it very clear, easy to understand.
Good. Ashton?
Her delivery was very confident.
Damon?
Yeah, she did all these things on the delivery points. She didn't like stay planted in what she kind of moved around a little bit, but in a natural way. She used gestures, like hand gestures, body language, and she even had some visual aids that she presented well.
Dan?
She appeared very confident.
Okay, good. And so then, what are some things that she could improve in? Some areas that she could improve? Autumn?
Speaking a little more slowly. Sometimes if we know our topic, we can say it fast, but we're trying to be a listener, maybe just slow it down a smidge.
Anything else in particular she knows maybe she can improve in?
Maybe just more speeches.
Okay, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said it all. Why? I have to submit this to you.